and this slashed my tire, went back to my house, broke into my house. I have 12 cameras, so these guys are really good. They were able to disable all the cameras, and I didn't have any footage. They broke in, grabbed my safe that was in my bedroom, and they just took it. Millions of dollars worth of watches, some of the rarest watches in the world. Hey everybody, Adam Golden here of Mental Watches. Welcome back to the channel. I know we've had a long hiatus off, but we're going to start bringing you some excellent content. The first video I wanted to do back on the channel was introduce a topic that is really unfortunate and that's growing in the watch world that not enough people talk about, which is watch theft. I'm sure as everybody knows, with the rising popularity of watches globally in the world, we've seen an increase in the amount of thefts and robberies going on with watches. With the increased visibility of watches and people now understanding their values, it's a really sad and unfortunate trend, and it's not something that people talk about a lot. So today I have a very special guest with me, a dear friend. We're going to call him Joe for the sake of privacy and also because of some ongoing proceedings that are still playing out in the courts and with the police, which you'll understand shortly. So without further ado, this is my friend Joe. So why don't you walk us through a little bit about your situation, what happened, give us a background.
Okay, so this happened about almost 2 years ago. I was just like a lot of people out there, love watches, got into it heavily, started collecting and just investing more and more and more. And part of the fun was actually posting on the social media, with Instagram, the engagement of people loving your passion.
And it's such a collaborative group.
Yeah, and watches that nobody has and hard to get, hard to find. That's what, draw the passion that I had with it, just finding the really cool, rare stuff. Did that for a few years, and I believe that I was cased on this thing to where people just started, some bad people started trying to find where I was, looking, followed me from my work to my home. And then I'm sure it wasn't just like a one day thing. I'm sure they were looking for me for
these just
professional, sure, casing me for a while. One day I came home, just went to go meet up with some friends for dinner, came home, and then left. So what they did is just followed me to the restaurant, slashed my tire. I was already in the restaurant, they didn't know anything. So slashed my tire, went back to my house, broke into my house. I have 12 cameras there. So these guys are really good where they were able to disable all the cameras and I didn't have any footage. I also had 3 dogs, 3 French bulldogs. Yeah, I mean, they're small, and I'm just glad that they didn't hurt any of them, right? Which is,
sometimes more important.
Yeah, tier 8, exactly. So they broke in, grabbed my safe that was available, it was in my bedroom, and they just took it. Millions of dollars worth of watches, some of the rarest watches in the world in condition. They were, things that you can't just...
It built up quite a collection. I know, because it's sort of set to watch when like a lot of...
for you to be able to get a lot, some of those pieces were extremely special because you and said is hey dude, they're replaceable. These things we could get unworn. This is from 1965, just incredible stuff.
So we were talking earlier, and the reason I wanted to make this video is because I want it to be really educational, and I want people to have their eyes open as to what's going on and what they can do to prevent the same thing happening. Because you were saying, the more of your friends that locally know about it, the more they've changed their habits or what they do, what they insure, etc.
Yeah.
First of all, I think the first question we should start with is, why were they at your house and where were they usually? Because I already know the answer, but I want people to hear it. Correct me if I'm wrong. You usually kept them at your office, in a secure vault. So yeah, what's the first thing people should avoid doing, in terms of where they store their watches and how they think about it?
Well, I live in a very safe neighborhood, first I thought was, and there's very low crime rate or next to none. I usually have them at the bulk.
Right.
And, I'll take a few out and just maybe keep a few pieces at my house because I like to interchange them, just taking pictures and everything. So because this is part of the fun.
Right.
As I was doing that, I just started grabbing some stuff out and then putting them in. And I already knew from the beginning that this is not the way to do it. That's just, we got to be safe, keep it in the vault. The hassle of getting stuff out of the vault and then exchanging them, and it wasn't fun to do.
Right.
But this is something that everybody has to do. I don't know what your collection is. If you have 1, 2, 3, 5, 10, 100, it doesn't matter. You have to keep them safe. And one of the most important thing that you have to do, talk to the insurance company to make sure that every single one of them.
Yeah, we're going to get into that. So I think the key takeaway is that don't get complacent, is that even if you feel you live in a upscale or safe neighborhood that crime could never happen, anybody could be a victim. I don't think it matters where you are, where you live. There's always somebody willing to go that extra mile to break in and take your goods from you and have you part with them. Like Joe was saying, it's very fun to have your watches all in one place, to be able to use them and look at them and share them with people in the community, but you need to be educated and smart about what you're doing and try not to keep them all in one place.
100%, because one of the things is that, like, I even had these type of feelings, and I'm like, you know what, I gotta put them away. They're as ridiculous, all 90s watches and safe. I'm like, this in one place. Right. I gotta put them away.
Because your home is your castle. You should feel secure and safe there. You probably did. So
you start feeling complacent and and all this thing to where like you're just thinking nothing's ever gonna happen to you, nothing's gonna happen to because where you're at is you never know who's watching.
Right.
And the best thing to do is really sit there and just make sure everything's safe. Not even just watches, anything that you have valuables.
Right.
100%. Keep them, enjoy them, put them away.
Even if it's inconvenient.
Yeah. Even if you just have one watch, and then just keep them somewhere that it's extremely safe.
Yeah, I personally I keep at my house whatever's on my wrist. That's it.
Yeah.
So you just brought up, I think, the most important topic that I wanted people to think about and start considering doing, which was insurance. So I know that you had insurance, you had homeowners insurance that was going to cover the amount of your collection. I know we can't go into super, exact details on that because a lot of it's still ongoing. But what would you have done differently? What happened and what would you do differently going forward in the future to avoid the situation that you're in now?
So the main thing, yes, you have to have an insured right. And what I mean by the insured right is each individual pieces has to be declared value, having it to where that it's with the insurance company with the serial numbers and everything. And yes, it's going to cost you a lot of money to be able to do that. But right now, I don't have anything.
Right.
Because what the insurance is going to do is they're going to try to, they're not going to want to pay you for whatever the value is. And then, of course, which I thought I was insured because my property insurance, I thought it was going to cover it.
Right.
Which doesn't.
Right. So, yeah, I know we've talked about it and that your homeowner's policy had specific riders for jewelry.
Watches are considered jewelry, so it has to go through your jewelry policy, then it has that itemized insurance.
Right.
That's the reason why that they're not insuring.
Yeah, listen, insurance is amazing and great, but keep in mind that insurance companies are providing service for profit, so it's not in their best interest, unfortunately, sometimes to paying out their insured. So they're always looking for an excuse to back out or find an exclusion or find a loophole. And you need to be able to read your homeowner's policy if that's what you're using. But, again, I wouldn't rely on a homeowner's insurance policy. I think the biggest takeaway that you've learned from this is that you need to have a specific policy for your watches. A company like Hodinkee, who underwrites through a major underwriter, Chubbs, where you specifically put a picture of the watch, the serial number, the reference number, the value, and you insure per individual watch. There's also other great companies like Jewelers Block that do it. There's a laundry list that there are avenues out there for you guys to insure your pieces, to have that peace of mind, and again, not be put in a position where, God forbid, something does happen to you and a watch is taken from you. You're able to recoup, at least your investment, the amount of money you spent on that watch or whatever the declared value is. And I think that's the biggest takeaway that people are thinking about. Some people, don't want to pay the 1% per watch or per value of whatever it is, or, they think they're safe or, whatever justification they make in their head for not doing it. But at the end of the day, while watch theft and robberies is a very small percentage of the amount of people who actually own watches. You can just hear these crazy headlines, like, oh, somebody got robbed in the street in Los Angeles or Richard Mille. It doesn't happen every day. It doesn't happen often percentage-wise compared to the amount of people who own watches, but it could happen, and it's on the rise, and it's something that people really, really need to think about.
And you don't want to be that 1%.
Right.
you know, you don't want to raise that percentage to where that it's something that happens to you.
Right.
And, you know, this is one of the things I've told all my friends. I was very surprised. Like, most of them didn't have it, but now they do.
Right.
They insure every single piece, you know, itemized insurance, and they have the right insurance, and they don't. A lot of them are just being a lot more private about their stuff.
Right.
Which is good.
I think that's another good piece of advice that people should follow. While, you know, obviously everybody, like you said, loves to post on Instagram, TikTok, social media to show off their watches, be a sense of community. I think people need to really be smart about it. When I say be smart about it, I'm not saying don't post your watches, don't share with other people. I think really think it through. So, for example, if you're going out to dinner, you take a picture of your watch. Maybe wait till you leave to post it. Don't geotag your location. Wait a couple days even, you know?
Yeah.
Be very careful about what you post, when you post, and where you post. Be conscious of it. Be cautious of what you're wearing. Because unfortunately there are people out there who, like you said, are watching our feeds and seeing, you know, what we have and what we own, and try and find any unfortunate way to rid us of our possessions. Yeah.
Sorry. So the best thing to do is just protect yourself, making sure. I mean, we all share this passion, and it's not gonna die. I still have it. I love it. It just got to be a lot more careful about.
Yeah, what you went through was one of the most egregious cases I've heard of watch theft, and it's really unfortunate because you're a guy who's been doing this for a long time, and you know the rules, so to speak. You know how to protect yourself, and all it takes is a tiny lapse in judgment. It's just one day where, you know, they're like, oh, nothing's gonna happen in one day, and you
Should have just put it away. I should, because I remember this because.
I remember because we talk all the time.
Gotta just put it away, and I'm like, you know what? I have time. I'm gonna do this, and you make excuses why not to do it, and it happens, and that's what usually happens.
Yeah, because we'd be on the phone, and I'd be like, hey, can you send me a picture of this watch that I know you have, because I just want to compare something. You'll be like, it's at the vault. I have to send it to you tomorrow. So I know that you knew how to protect yourself. It's just all it takes is one day and one momentary lapse of judgment. And you could be a victim. I think that's really the key thing. Be aware of your surroundings. Get your watches insured, people. Really, you know, don't keep them all in one place. And obviously be careful what you post to social media, you know, how, when, and where. Listen, I really appreciate you coming and sharing your story with us. And I hope this could be, you know, a learning lesson, you know, or so at least a piece of advice for people to listen to and take heed of. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. Remember to all do all the usual stuff: comment, link, subscribe, share this video, especially share this one in particular, so that we could get the word out, so people could do a much better job protecting themselves, because it's a shame to hear when any of this happens to any of our friends and colleagues, because this, like we said in the beginning of the video, this is a really, the great thing about watch is that it's a huge sense of community, that we all have this passion for this stuff, and we all love to share it with each other and kind of be collaborative about it. But we do need to be a little bit smarter about it. So yeah, please share this video, and thanks for watching, everybody. Bye.